Welcome back to another episode of I'm No Expert. Today, I am so thrilled to have this particular person in the studio. I've known this person for a really, really long time. I've shot some music videos with her. I've done a lot of content with you. So, I would say world renowned. Okay, because you do travel officially around the world, and you've been an activist for the past 25 years. And you've run an organization in Sri Lanka, an activist here in Sri Lanka with Equal Ground. Rosanna Flamer-Caldera, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jason.
And not to mention, you made let me just put this out there. You made the Time Magazine 100 Most Influential People of 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're one of the select few of Sri Lankans that have made the list. Okay, and I think here in 2024, this is huge news. This is a big win for Sri Lanka and a big win for your organization too.
Yes, I don't look at it as a win, but I do look at it as an accolade that I never in my entire life thought I'd get such an accolade. So blow me over with a feather. Yeah,
it is a step. You've broken. I think you've broken every person that I've had in here has broken the glass ceiling for Sri Lankans, and you have broken a big one.
I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think being recognized for your work, the amount that you've dedicated you've basically dedicated your entire life into this cause here, specifically in Sri Lanka.
Not my entire life, but a good half century of it.
Fair enough.
Considering I've been living for quite a while now.
So, Equal Ground is your baby.
My baby.
You started this in the early 2000s, but this is not where it actually began. You as an activist began much earlier in 1999.
That's right. Myself and a few other people, including my sister, we got together and decided to open up a organization that helps lesbian, bisexual women and transgender men. At that time, there was only one organization that was operating really in Colombo, and they were working primarily on gay men's health and transgender women's health, mainly HIV/AIDS. So there was really no organization or nobody doing anything towards the welfare, the betterment of lesbian, queer women. Yeah. So we started that, and as we went along, somewhere along the line, I started working with the International Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Intersex Association, commonly known as ILGA. They're like the granddaddy and like the international organization for LGBTQ rights across the world. Yeah. And I started off by being a regional rep for Asia with them. And then I went on to be their co-secretary general for 2 terms. And I learned so much about activism by just that international exposure that I got. I was really lucky, I guess, because it just all sort of like I fell into it. Yeah, it was not like, I set my path towards this and that's where I'm going. In 2004, I felt that there was no organization that was actively working for the entire LGBTIQ community. It was segregated, and I don't like segregation. Yeah, it's just another sort of like, self-segregation, like marginalization in a way. So we started Equal Ground in 2004, and this is what's happened, since then.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but being the Secretary General of that organization, that's a first for Sri Lanka too. Is that right?
Yes.
So there's no other Sri Lanka that's made it to that point.
No.
Right. And you're just like, I did this. Like that's a huge.
Well, okay, then moving right along and sort of like fast forwarding to like 2015, and I helped form the Commonwealth Equality Network, of which I was the chair for like 5 years or more. And yes, the first Sri Lankan there as well. So yeah,
kicking ass and taking names.
There you go. Police do that. Don't say that.
That's so good. So you started this organization with friends, with family, and this grew. Obviously, Sri Lanka today for the LGBTIQ is a lot different from when you started.
Yes.
How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel that you are able to see the youth that identify in this way, that they're able to walk, that they're able to go through school, that they're able to express themselves freely?
Well, I don't think we're there yet, Jason, because, in schools, especially government schools and other schools like private schools, I'm not talking about international schools, okay?
Right.
But there's still, a lot of taboo
Right.
on LGBTIQ kids, and they're not quite there yet where they can express themselves and be who they are in schools here in Sri Lanka. The only problem is that we made a conscious effort not to go there or not to go down that road, because there's all these, erroneous views, and of course fueled by various hate mongers, that all LGBTIQ people are pedophiles. So if we went even near a school, then they would be like, oh, see, told you, they're going to perv on those kids, and, the usual nonsense, yeah? I have gone to international schools, and I've had, getting to know you kind of sessions, and, sensitization and education sessions with the kids of a certain age, like O levels upwards, invited by the principals, not that I have barged in there. So, that has helped a lot as well. But we are still not, there yet in that sense. Because what I can say is that from 2004 to 2015, maybe to 2017, we operated in a situation which, as you know, the war was still going on till 2009. Then post-war, we had all of the reconciliation going on, but we also had a very repressive government, dare I say it. And so, we had to watch our backs. And it was difficult. But once the government changed in 2015, things got a lot easier for everybody. And now, after 2017 in particular, I'm really happy to see that there is more LGBTIQ organizations, forming in Sri Lanka and in different parts of Sri Lanka. And quite a few of them started by ex-employees of Equal Ground. So, they learn from the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I can see it also like spoken more even in media, more than what it was.
Absolutely. Because we've done our homework, and one of the things that we wanted to do was to make sure that we had enough allies on our side. And in order to get allies on our side, we had to sensitize everybody that we came into contact with, more or less, and we did, workshops in various districts as well, in Sinhala, in Tamil. We sensitized journalists, we sensitized lawyers, we did quite a bit of work in between.
So you're not just an elitist group, just only for people in Colombo.
Me elitist? my. Well, I've been accused of that. I suppose you could say elitist, but I don't think elitist is the correct word to use. I say I'm very privileged. And I say I'm very privileged because I grew up with parents who didn't care whether I was gay or straight. They loved me anyway. They showed that they loved me. They were my biggest supporters. My mother was at every Pride, until she could no more be with us for Pride. So it was that kind of privilege. It is that kind of privilege that I'm talking about. The privilege to be who I am, to do what I want to do without hindrance from my family. Yeah. And even my brother and sister and my extended family. My extended family all over the world. I mean, there's not a single homophobe to be seen, which is quite amazing, to be quite honest.
So because you had that support system, what did you feel like for you, because you had that, you wanted the people in Sri Lanka that did not have that this was your mission, that this is what you wanted them to feel like, that there is this support system, and that was what Equal Ground stands for?
Absolutely. We wanted LGBTIQ persons to feel proud of who they were, to not fear that they were going to get into trouble because of this, that, and the other. Be yourself.
Yeah.
You didn't ask to be born. You were born. They are the ones who chose to keep you and give birth to you.
Yep.
So they need to realize that you need to be who you are.
Absolutely.
Because not every single human being is the same. Otherwise, we'll be all like, what was that movie, that science fiction movie where, everybody's like all the same. Yeah. They just, I can't remember.
Equilibrium?
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, where they have no feeling, like they're just
they're just like robots. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, human beings are not like that.
Yeah.
They are different.
Yeah.
You have long hair and you love pink. I have
pink.
short hair and I love black. Yeah. How butch is that? So we're all different. Yeah. And our sexuality, just because it's different, doesn't mean to say it's wrong.
Absolutely.
And people can say whatever they like and sling mud at us and say we are perverts and we're this and that. I think if you really look at the roster, you'd find that straight men are the perpetrators of most amount of abuse on children and women.
Yeah.
So,
if we were to take it back, way back to Sri Lanka pre-colonization, what do you think that was like for people of the LGBTIQ?
They were quite accepted, I think, you know, and I think also it was quite a matriarchal culture back then. It's only after the British came in and with their strange ideas and just, turned the whole bloody place upside down.
Right.
Before that, I mean, there is in history mention of a gay king in Kotte and a lesbian queen in the Mannar area.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Kotte was King Rajasingha, right? No, that was Sri Jayawardena. That was the Kotte.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I have to look up the name, but a king of Kotte. I didn't say who the king of Kotte was. Don't put me. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Okay, so then this was widely accepted.
Knox has written about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Robert Knox. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I have to check up on that. That's a good one. Because my family name is Rajasingha.
Yes.
For Sri Jayawardena Kotte.
Of course, the irony of it all is that the Bible that we know as it is right now was, during King James the First.
Right.
He was a known homosexual.
Yes.
So guess what? The Bible is written by a homosexual.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, like, when did it turn from him writing it to what it is? Well, I wouldn't say what it is today, but how it was misconstrued and then used for a political agenda. But why do you think that was? Like, why did they want to...
It's a British thing, no? Divide and conquer. I think we talked about that earlier. But, religion has played a huge part in marginalizing so many different communities,
right.
Not only the LGBTIQ community, but also like the indigenous communities in a lot of places were practically wiped out because of the British thinking that they are heathens and they need to be like, either
saved,
embrace the Bible or they should be dead or whatever. So it has been a concerted effort to try to make people think along the lines that they were thinking in and forcing people to do that. Yeah. They didn't want people to explore their own identity,
right?
Their own sexuality,
right?
Their own beliefs. We were just sort of being almost like robots, what do you call it? Sort of manipulated into just saying and doing what they told you to say and do and believe in.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Anything outside that box was like,
not for it. So we adopt these laws, we gain independence, and then Sri Lanka gains independence, and nothing changes even after adopting these laws. So walk me through the course of that history there. So we gain independence, but the laws stay the same. And then something in 1995 happens, correct?
So what happened in 1995 was Neelam Thiruchelvam brought this private members bill asking for decriminalization of 365 and 365.
What is that?
Right?
What's 365?
So 365 was carnal intercourse against the order of nature by any male person with another male person. Okay, so it was a buggery law brought by the British. And there was 365A, which was carnal intercourse against acts of gross indecency with a male with another male person. So both those were, buggery laws. And what the Justice Minister did was to say, oh, this is like gender bias. So we take out the word male person and put any person with another person. So then equal, no? There's equality there, right? Yeah. So that's what happened.
So it backfired.
So it backfired, and even women, lesbian women can be, prosecuted under those laws. And since it's so vague, there is no explanation as to what carnal intercourse against the order of nature was. I mean, I think originally the British meant it to be anybody who is having sex outside of reproductive sex. Yeah. And mainly referring to gay men, can be prosecuted.
Right. Finding your next nutrient-dense meal is really tough when you're on the road or you're working really long hours during filmmaking season or whatever it is that you're doing. KION has been with me since day one with its essential amino acids or its whey protein. I'm feeling great 100% while I'm on the road. So if you want to check him out, hit him up on KION.com. The link is in the description below, or use the coupon code Jason plus KION for your goodness on your next basket. Would it be a goodness basket? It's a goodness basket. KION.com.
Yeah.
So as we sit here in 2024, getting ready to celebrate Pride in 2024 here in Sri Lanka, is that law still, does it still stand?
It still stands. There was a private members bill put in 2022 to decriminalize. It's 2024, and they're still messing around and pushing it and shoving it into deep dark corners so that they don't have to take responsibility for it. And it's just the usual, 3-card Monty that's happening, pretending to be doing something to show the world that they're doing something, but in fact not doing anything about it.
But why
hoping that will go away?
Yeah, but why are they even there, like pretending to do something? Because now people are starting to talk about it. How did they get to this point? What was the catalyst for that?
There was 2 things, I think. One was the case that I brought against the government with CEDAW at the UN. And the other, I think, is also some conversations that major donors were having with the government at that time. They were basically, encouraging the government to, extend equality to include the LGBTIQ community, and that they should be working harder on inclusion of all communities rather than exclusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And equal ground is not, from my understanding, equal ground didn't just stand for the LGBTQ IQ. It was more from the holistic perspective of keeping an equal ground for everybody of all races.
That's right. Yeah.
And all religions.
Yeah. I mean, obviously being a woman, I'm very interested and passionate about women's rights as well. Any woman's right. I'm also a very passionate and vocal, advocate for animal rights as well. I don't see how we can call ourselves human if we are punishing, animals and others. And it's just goes against the order of nature, as far as I'm concerned, when you marginalize people based purely on who they love, or you try to subjugate people based on your erroneous thinking that as a man you are entitled to do that. Yeah. And unfortunately, that has been like something that has been inculcated into our, culture in Sri Lanka. As I said earlier, we did have a matriarchal culture at one point, and all of this changed after the British came in with all of their, very sort of British attitudes, and they were very patriarchal, so they brought that patriarchy with them, and just shoved it down our throats.
Right.
And our guys, after they left, just embraced all of that nonsense and took it to another level, as you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. Just dialing it back to 2023, I think there were lots of international eyes on Sri Lanka at that point, because this was the first time that you were able, I don't know if, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the first time you were able to have a pride parade out in public.
A pride walk.
Walk. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, during the Aragalaya, sorry, during the Aragalaya, they had a pride march.
Yes.
And that was fabulous. I would have loved to have gone for that, but I was in bed with COVID. So I know that Tammy, my sister, went for it, and Nimi and all these people that I know went for it, and it was fantastic. So the first time that, openly queer people got on the street with rainbow flags and had a fantastic pride march. Yeah. Nice. Unfortunately, that was a bit of a bone of contention with some people, because we decided to have a pride walk.
Okay.
And they got really, upset with us because they thought we were trying to upstage their pride march. Yeah. We had advertised the walk before them.
Okay.
But anyway, cut a long story short, there was some ugly stuff going on about that. But our pride walk was wonderful. I mean, we had a lot of people participating, and we had a lot of police protecting us and watching our backs. It was amazing. Yeah.
And you had diplomats,
Yeah, and I'm sure the police presence was because of the diplomats, but they were also there to protect us.
Right.
So, yeah.
Interesting. So that, when I look at the two stories of what I've known and what you've shared with me and your peers as well, looking back at your first public event, which was a kite festival,
yeah,
to what you just even up till last year and what you're celebrating in 2024, when you did your first event together, how would you compare both experiences, from the first time you putting those kites up there to now being able to bring a whole collective of people that identify as such in one place?
Yeah, it's heady, isn't it? I mean, in 2005, we had the first Pride event, which was a party. It was in 2006 that we went into the, had the kite festival and all that. For us, it was a big deal then. And with everything that we have done, every time we create history in that sense, it's a big deal. Yeah. I mean, I'm in awe of what happens every single Pride. Yeah, every single thing that we do. Yeah, I'm just simply like, wow, we did that. And wow, this, So it's all a wow factor for me. Yeah. As long as nobody's getting hurt and everybody's celebrating, that's a wow factor for me. Yeah.
What do you think is the obviously there's recipes into getting where you are. Do you think it was a certain group of people that joined in with the cause that actually also helped progress it fast? Because I remember you were telling me about Harvey Milk, and I had no idea who Harvey Milk was until you told me about him, and then I watched the movie, and I was just like, oh wow, this is somebody that actually changed the landscape in America with that movement. But you brought some of those practices here to Sri Lanka as well, and you tried to you were inspired by how he did it, and so you were trying to do the same. Tell me, who did you recruit, or who were you able to bring into this movement here?
Well, it was like this. Harvey. One of the things I learned from Harvey Milk's experience was that he felt that in order for us to, proceed and move forward with rights and stuff, was to include other people's rights, to work for other people's rights. Right. So, he was very close to, the United Farm Workers Union and Cesar Chavez and all these people. And I felt in Sri Lanka, too, that not only did we work with others when they invited us to work with them, but we also were very, at least I thought, the formula has to be that we need to change the hearts and minds of those who are not queer. Yeah.
Yep.
We need to get them onto our side.
Right.
Yeah. And one of our strategic in our strategic plan was to sensitize, educate, and get allies on board.
Yeah.
And we've done that quite effectively.
Yeah.
Because you can see now, like, the number of people who are like so gay friendly, queer friendly, who support, and a lot of allies are the ones who come and walk with us in our Pride Walk and on the bus, and all of that. So allies make a huge impact, because if it was just us fighting for rights, and this is the thing that people used to, who are they? I mean, they're just a small, who cares? They're just a small minority. Yeah, we don't care about them. But when we have allies backing us up, and they are saying, hey, you can't marginalize these people. They're people, they're human beings. We love them. We think they're great. We need to make sure that, so when you're pushed with that whole, section rooting for you, things get much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this also includes the fact that families and friends of LGBTIQ persons, we included them especially, because every other queer person has the same story to tell. My parents don't accept me. They've thrown me out of the house. They forced me into a marriage. They've kicked me out. I can't find a job. All of these stories at the end of the day is because straight people are doing this to queer people. So we had to change the narrative and make sure that straight people were with us on our journey. It's very, very important. Yeah. So we have allies, allies for equality.
Yeah. I love some of the stories, and unfortunately I never had the privilege of attending any of these parties, because I'm not going to say I wasn't born yet. I was going to say I wasn't born.
Gross. You squid, you.
But I've heard about the parties. I've heard, you've had some fantastic parties here. Like Kolu would share some of the stories. But tell me about these parties that you had in Colombia.
Well, it's not only parties. We did some fantastic drag shows, yeah?
Yeah.
And people just love that. People love drag. I don't know why. Even the worst homophobe loves drag. Yeah. So, we did quite a few drag shows, and it was also a chance for, people to sort of have some fun and, switch identities and, do all kinds of crazy ass stuff that, generally they can't do. And of course, we love people like Kolu and Loching, and they're the ones who introduced me to drag anyway in the first place. Long before Equal Ground started, we were doing drag shows. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
But it wasn't just parties for the sake of parties. These are for a cause.
Yeah, of course. Right? And we were raising funds for Equal Ground as well. And, we also wanted to show a lighter side of things. You don't have to be so uptight all the time. You just have to just relax and take us for who we are and what we are. And, the LGBTIQ community, basically, we love to have fun as well. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we love to cross-dress. We love to do this and we love to do that. And instead of looking at it and thinking, oh, that's really weird, that's really bad, that's really something, just get into the spirit of things. And, I'm sure if you, got into your pink monstrosity that you wore the last time, you'd feel like, wow, it's time to party. Yeah. So, yeah.
That was a pink fluffy coat that I wore at the interview. I feel like when I could, like you were saying, getting into the spirit of things, whenever I do interviews with people for filming and stuff, I need to be a little bit extra, and so that way people feel a lot more comfortable as well when we talk, and it doesn't feel like you're just having like this one-sided conversation. Also, this could be an excuse for me to wear a pink coat, so it's one of the
and
other.
Of course you could be like trying to lose weight because you sweated in that pink coat, and you were thinking to yourself, I could see your brain churning throughout the interview going, when is this going to be over? I'm sure you cut our interview short because of that, because you just wanted to fling that coat to the other side of the house after a while. And that poor coat was so bedraggled with all your sweat and stuff. Okay.
That's so true. That's true. It was very warm. It's a very warm coat. Sri Lanka is no place for a coat.
No place. Not even in this air-conditioned room.
That's true. That's true. So here we are moving forward with Sri Lanka taking these steps now, and obviously Sri Lanka now booming with tourism, and it's coming back to its feet in some form. Where do you see Equal Ground and its future, and this movement and the future generations? Where do you see this heading? For you personally, at
Oh
least.
my goodness. Yeah, I need to retire. Geez, I can't do this till I'm dead. No, but basically, when you say tourism and stuff like that, I think to myself that the government really needs to look at the bigger picture. Yeah. Thailand's revenue from gay tourism is astronomical. Yeah.
What do you mean gay tourism?
Yes, because it's when I mean gay tourism, there's a lot of LGBTIQ persons coming to Thailand. And because Thailand does not have laws criminalizing homosexuality or same-sex relationships, people feel safe to come there, and enjoy what Thailand has to offer. And Thailand has just basically... the lower house has just voted yes for gay marriage there, and now it has to pass in the Senate, and it's more or less a done deal, and the king has to sign off on it. Once that happens, it's going to be a huge, marriage destination for not only straight couples, but for queer couples as well. Sri Lanka is already a marriage destination, but only for straight couples. Can you imagine if they opened it out for the queer community as well, how much money would pour into this country? That's number one. Number two, if tourists knew that there was no law, criminalizing who they love, there'd be a hell of a lot more tourists coming in to Sri Lanka. And, this will be a booming paradise once again. But because our, government is so short-sighted, that they feel that homosexuality is such an abomination for whatever reason, is just because they don't understand, and because they just want to divide this country into little pieces. They're just basically cutting their nose to spite their faces. So much can happen if they decriminalized, and were, what should I say, welcoming and embracing the queer community.
But I was told that there are people in powerful places that are gay and lesbian, and they do identify with this movement, but they choose to also to hide from it, and they don't want to be open about it. Why do you think that is?
I can't talk for them because I don't know what they're going through or whatever. I just feel that, they're probably getting a lot of flack from, their colleagues and stuff like that, or they're getting flack from their families, whatever, And I guess sometimes it just is for them, they feel better hiding it than acknowledging. And that's the worst part, really, in the sense that, while I sympathize with their predicament, I also think it's, 2024, it's time you just came out of the closet. I mean, geez.
Pretty widely accepted at this point.
Exactly.
You've done a fantastic job with some initiatives with corporations. Since we were talking about the how it's affecting the economy and like opening it up to gay tourism, you've also done this with corporates here in Sri Lanka. You've done some workshops and you've helped educate them and steered them into the right direction. Tell me about that. How did that start off?
Actually, it started off in 2015. We approached John Keel's Holdings. I pitched it to the deputy executive director, Ajit Gunawardena, and he was like, Rosanna, I have no problem with it, but our chairman is the person that you need to convince. So I was brought into this whole gathering of top management from all of their companies. They have like 45 companies or something under the John Keel's umbrella, and with the chairperson. And I made my pitch. And then he said, okay, so how much do you want? So I just looked at him and said, I don't want your money. He was like, what? Yeah. I said, don't want your money. I said, what I want is for you to allow us to come and sensitize your staff and do diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings. And he goes, okay, give her whatever she wants. And I'm like, okay. That's how it started. And because, they were forward thinking.
They were open.
They were open to it. And we spent 1.5 years doing the sensitizing and educating, training to like their companies all over the island practically. And that's how we started. And they even changed their human resources policies to include the LGBTIQ community. So it was a whole package. It was not just, but now we've come to a point where we feel that, one training is not going to make much of a difference, because the turnover rate of employees in Sri Lanka is pretty high. Yeah.
Yes. So I've
unfortunately, yeah, it is very, very high.
Yeah.
So we've come up with a groundbreaking module, which actually we kind of copied from John Keel's, because that's what they did to get their new employees all up to speed.
Nice.
So we launched that earlier this year. And that's on the market, so to speak, so that any corporate entity can approach us and get the software, whatever it is, the web package for that, so and install it on their website, and then all new employees can go through the whole DE&I thing online instead.
Right. So you were able to write off each other. You and John Keel was like the starting this off. And so how do you think, I mean, I'm not looking at stats, but how do you think that had benefited them in terms of performance, in terms of like a great place, like a place to work? Like, have you seen any results that has helped John Keel's itself from having these type of programs affect their bottom line?
Well, I think that, it's given them a 10 or 12% more pool of employees to begin with. They do a lot of travel as well, right? They have a lot of travel companies as well. And so, when you're ticking the boxes like that, other organizations that they're working with abroad also tend to, gravitate towards an organization that is ticking all the boxes, because they have to tick the boxes as well. So it's a win-win situation all around, and it's a win-win situation for the bottom line as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can definitely see how that would affect an employee's mind to walk into a place, to walk into an office space and treat it as such, where, okay, this person's different from me, but I can still engage with this person in a certain way without, number one, causing offense or kind of pushing this person out of the circle that I'm operating
and
in.
all it takes is about 10-15 minutes to just sit and go through that module to basically be familiar with pronouns, terminologies, know exactly what all the LGBTIQ acronyms stand for, and so on and so forth. It only takes 15-20 minutes for you to open your mind and be aware and also be knowledgeable about the LGBTIQ community and who they are and who we are and what we stand for, and that we are people just like everybody else. I mean, we don't have green blood. We're not Martians or whatever. But it's I think homophobia also comes through religion and other patriarchal ideas that we received wrapped in a pretty pink bow from the British.
I can see how Sri Lanka is. You can understand what we're fighting for, right? I think it's a pretty direct answer. Just get rid of this law. In America, it's constantly like evolving, and there's constantly new things. From your perspective, it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. For me, like I didn't understand the identity. I didn't. So for me, it was just like it's a lot. For you, as a person that identifies as gay, how were you able to navigate through all of these different types of identities, and they're still growing. There's still a lot of it going on, and I'm kind of lost. But how are you navigating through that sphere?
Well, first and foremost, it's personal for me. Yeah. So I take the time to understand it and take the time to figure things out. Doesn't mean to say I can figure things out like patas. Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Patas means very quick for the international audience.
But I mean, it's a growing phenomenon. And now that Pandora's box has just slightly opened, like everything's coming out, I think people are also trying to establish who they are and what they are. Because a human being is a complex, creature. It's not somebody that can be just put into a box and locked up and say, you have to be a man. That's it. You can't grow your hair. You can't wear pink, funny, fuzzy jackets and stuff like that. Yeah. And, girls can't wear pants and you name it, all of those. So, you're talking about sort of like old wives' tales, so to speak, where things were very rigid. Yeah. But people are breaking free of that rigidity. They're breaking free of all the restraints that have been put on them from a long time ago. So what you see right now is an explosion of expression. That's all I can say.
There was a series that I just watched on Netflix. I don't know if you watched this one. It's called Baby Reindeer.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't watched it because of that reaction. I'm not sure I am young.
It is powerful. Like, I don't think and my wife knows me. She knows I only tear up during a plot twist in movies. I don't even cry. I don't have any emotion in movies because I'm looking at it from a visual perspective, from a director's perspective, right? How do they get that shot? How do they do this? How do they make this storyline switch? And I was so immersed with that story. I just couldn't figure it out because it was real. It was a real life story. The actor that wrote it, the writer acted in the series. He had his own show, and he was recreating his life trauma and experiences. And so he asks the question like, "Am I gay? Am I bi?" Because he identified as a straight man before this experience. And I'm not going to ruin the series for you. You have to watch it.
Yeah, I must watch it, I guess. Yeah. My partner's watched it and she was just like, mind blowing. You got to watch it. I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah.
I think one of the best things to come out of 2024.
Why is it called Baby Reindeer? It really is troubling. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You only find out until the end.
Yeah, right.
You find out. And so it's highly recommended. It's a beautiful piece.
I'll watch it.
But the reason I bring it up is because, like you said, it is such a fluid. It's beautiful because you can't. When you look at this character, it looks very black and white at the start. But as you get to understand him and his choice and his trauma and what he's choosing to do, you're starting to see that, man, maybe life is not as rigid as we tend to see it most of the time. It is very fluid. And it was a beautiful way this series, I think, brought together, whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whether you're lesbian, you're able to look at it from different angles. And so I feel like this series is a very good topic of discussion for people that walk different paths of life.
How much did you get paid to pump that up on this podcast?
Nothing. That's how crazy it is, right?
Okay.
That's what I was like Netflix, call me.
Call me, please.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like more pieces like that will open people's minds up. And I hope Equal Ground will get into the film or series business soon. But you've done this as well, right? You've done some short films.
We've done a few short films and stuff like that, there's so much to do, Jason. It's just like, the time, the money, the everything, the effort that goes into doing all of this stuff. I mean, 25 years is a long time,
And you run based on your donors and that's how do they find out about Equal Ground? They just go in through the website and everything's
so
on
we
there.
have websites, we have social media, like the usual social media presence, and we have campaigns going on all the time. So we have since about 4 years ago, and particularly during COVID and stuff like that, that's what we were doing. We were churning out campaigns, we were churning out outreach through social media because there was nothing else we could do during that time. And so that has worked. So we've put that as one of our high level things to do. And we've been doing that very, very successfully. We are even on TikTok.
TikTok is
word,
great.
yes.
There's a lot of...
But I don't know anything about TikTok, to be quite honest with you. I haven't ventured anywhere close to TikTok because it's mind-blowing. So I'm very conservative, so I'll just stay with my Facebook and Instagram because that's all I know to do.
I've noticed on TikTok, though, especially here in Sri Lanka, even in South Asia, that I think the trans community is very active.
That's right,
They're very,
but even
very
the
active.
young LGBTIQ, youth are very active on TikTok and other social media. So
Nice.
it's good. It's a good way to reach them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If before we end this podcast, you're celebrating your 25 years as an activist, 20 years of Equal Ground,
And the 20th Pride this year
and
as
the
well.
20th Pride. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a huge milestone.
Mm.
What would you, if you were to look at one memory, one core memory that helped you stay the path?
Mhm.
Because it's not an easy path.
Mm.
You could have done a fantastic corporate job or something else and just like lived your life instead of helping others. When it comes to one memory, and this is a hard one, I know, but if you can pick one memory that helped you stay the path, what would that be?
My mom.
Mm.
She was there when, through thick and thin. She took me through the first 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after that, she's got older and then going towards her last years. She passed away in 2022. Yeah. So, yeah, been a bit rudderless. But yeah, by that time, I'd grown up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing what parents can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very powerful, And as I said, she was at every Pride. She was, whatever had to be done, she was there, And she was very pivotal in like even talking to other parents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Rosanna, thank you. It was an honor to have you on this podcast and for what you've done for Sri Lanka and what you've done for the movement as well.
Thank you.
Truly, truly appreciate you being here. And
always a, battle of laughs with you, Jason. Anytime, anywhere.
Anytime, any place. Absolutely. Well, that's it for I'm No Expert. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, our Instagram, and of course, do check us out on Spotify and Apple. I think it's Apple Music. Azim? No? One of the two. Anyways, we're on multiple platforms. Have a listen and make sure that you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.